You guys know Paul Davids, right? He's my pal. He does things like this every now and then. He also makes great videos, and he recently released one about beautiful chords. And as I was watching that video with an amazing intro, nice job on that one, Paul, I noticed in his comments section one of his subscribers recommended, maybe facetiously, to do a video on ugly chords. Like I said, I don't know if they were serious or not, but it's kind of a good idea for a video. So Paul, if you were gonna do that video idea, I encourage you to do your own take on it, but I'm gonna go ahead and steal that suggestion from your subscriber. Hope you're okay with that. Something tells me you won't mind one bit. I'll put the link down to Paul's video in the description for you guys to check that one out, because you're gonna want a little bit of beauty in your life after what we're about to get into. The ugliest guitar chords you can possibly play. And notice I said guitar chords. These chords may work well on other instruments, especially keyboards. Obviously, I don't really believe in ugly chords. I mean, how can there be an ugly chord? Every chord has its right time and place in music, but if there are no ugly chords, how can there be beautiful chords? We have to have some sort of parameters set for what's good and gorgeous and what's bad and ugly, right? So keep that in mind as we move forward. Don't take offense if you actually think some of these chords are particularly beautiful. I would say the context of ugly in music, especially when talking about chords, let's just say unexciting. And to show you that I'm not biased, I've dialed in the absolute perfect clean guitar tone, the most beautiful, gorgeous, thesaurus.com, alluring, dazzling, magnificent, pleasing guitar tone. I have my custom PRS amplifier, which I'm still getting used to and finding tones for. Let's say this one's a keeper. And I also have the Empress Effects Para EQ, and that is helping me just further enhance certain frequencies that I'd like to highlight in this clean sound. I'm going into the Universal Audio aux with a cab sim. I've got some further EQ, a compressor, some delay, and a nice reverb. I'll play a beautiful chord first, just so you can hear the tone in all its glory. Delightful, wouldn't you say? Now, let's get to the first ugly chord. And I'm not saying you don't ever have to play these again, but just think I could be playing something a little bit prettier. The first ugly chord is this. Ugh, gross. This is a G chord, and it doesn't have the fifth on the B string. Normally I would play a G chord, if we're keeping it basic, like this. The chord everybody plays when they're tuning. If you take this ring finger off, it sounds like a little jingle that would play when you launch an application from Windows 98 or something. It's just old and tired, and no one should ever play that chord. Terrible, terribly ugly. If you're gonna play this, put that ring finger down. So much better. Look, Slash didn't play this chord in the beginning of Knockin' on Heaven's Door. He played this chord. I think that's reason enough to never ever play this G with the major third on the B string. Ugh. Ugh. The next chord, ready? Ugh. Minor 7 flat 5. This voicing in particular. This voicing is fine, and you'll see as we move through this list, there are certain voicings of the chords that are particularly ugly that sound great. So this voicing of a minor 7 flat 5 just sounds terrible. It's all muddy. Don't think it's useful in any musical context. If you're gonna play it, just play this minor triad. Think about jazz chords, which you'll see. This is like Jazz 101. So if you go to a music school, for example, or if you're learning the basics of jazz, you're gonna learn 4-part chords, and the first four-part chords that you learn are major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, and minor 7 flat 5. Those are the 4 diatonic chords of the major scale. And this one, well, don't learn this one. You're never smarter for not knowing something. I take that back. You're smarter for not knowing this chord. Forget it. It's too ugly. Now the next chord, I'm gonna actually group 3 chords into one category. I'm gonna show you 3 chords at once. These are major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7 root position 4-part chord voicings. And these are the ones that I talked about being the Music Theory 101 chords. Look, you're required to learn these chords, and they sometimes work, but most of the time they're just, again, just real dated and colorless. Here's a major 7 chord. Again, that kind of Windows 98 sound. Here's a minor 7 chord. Now this one actually has a lot of good uses, but again, by itself, not much there. There's cool little things you can do with a minor 7 chord, like really cool chord in that context, but I'm having to manipulate it. By itself, I would play something like this, maybe a minor 9. Or how about just a different inversion of a minor 7 chord, maybe something like this. Or, you know, something on the next string set. Then you can have some more intervals kind of coloring this chord up. A lot of different ways you can go there. If you're not familiar with intervals, by the way, check out Guitar Super System. There's a link right down below. It's my guitar learning platform. For you guitar players out there who want to take your music theory, technique, and all other guitar skills to the next level, check out the link below. Next chord we're grouping into this stage is the dominant 7th chord. It sounds like if a guitar chord was a nerdy person, a dominant 7th chord is what it would be. Instead, play something like this. And I alluded to this with the minor chord. I like these voicings. They're called root 3rd, 7th voicings, and you guessed it, they only contain the root, the 3rd, and the 7th. They omit that 5th, which can sometimes make these chords sound a little ugly, a little boring, a little past their prime. So instead of playing root, 5th, 7th, 3rd, all 4 chord tones, I would just play a root, 7th, and a 3rd. Get rid of the 5th. It gives you all the essential elements of the chord to help your listener understand the harmonic context, but it also trims the fat. And you can do this with a minor 7th chord, major 7. Remember, I'm not even gonna, I did the minor 7 flat 5. Forget that. Use root 3rd, 7th voicings, and you can just play a minor chord right here instead of that minor 7 flat 5. And these voicings allow you to move really quickly. So what I can do is play the entire G major scale, for example, in its diatonic chord format very quickly. That's pretty cool, and I'm only using root 3rd, 7th voicings there, so take your disgusting Music Theory 101 chords, throw them away, replace them with root 3rd, 7th voicings. Or like I mentioned, invert the same exact 4 chord tones. If you're just wed to having all 4 of these chord tones, here's a major 7th. Take those same things and displace them, put them in different spots. So these 4 notes, here are the same 4 notes, just arranged differently. Sounds much sweeter. Here they are again. The next ugly chord is my favorite chord. This is really a crisis for me, but I can't lie. A major triad root position on this 4th string set? Oh. That's almost as bad, that's just as bad as that G chord that we started with. So lifeless by itself, like... Ah, that's so much better. So, don't ever play a root position triad unless you have to. Move it up another inversion here. I love the first inversion of a triad. And again, it's only this voicing on the D, G, and B strings. Like a root position G triad on this string set sounds great. You know, any inversion. But it's just this particular timbre. I don't like it. It's ugly. It's unattractive. To close out our list, I don't know, the first chord most guitar players ever learn. Just play this. That. Or do the AC/DC thing and just play this. But this? That's so far inside the box. Ugh. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't know these chords and it's bad if you play them. I'm just saying don't just stop with these chords. Don't accept mediocrity when it comes to your harmonic knowledge. Learn to expand your library of chords. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thanks to that subscriber of Paul Davids for giving me the inspiration. Go check out Paul's YouTube channel. Go check out Guitar Super System. I think Paul has a great guitar course as well. I'm gonna go take a shower, clean off all the disgusting grime that those ugly chords left upon me. So I'll see you. I won't see you in the shower, but I'll see you next time.